Watch it, Mike. Okay, that's where I'm going to sit while I talk for a moment or two at you. I just wanted to get that set up. It's going okay. I'm live. Here I am live. Yeah. Okay. It's 1:32 Pacific Standard Time or Daylight Time. It has to be one or the other. Pacific time, anyways. 1:33 a.m. And I'm doing a YouTube live. I think this is live number 6. I don't know. You could watch them all and then go back and watch the first however many and then come back and watch this one and then you'll know exactly which one this is. Plus, you'll see all the other ones. You can do that right now. And I'll just pretend you did that and came back. Okay, here we are. Yeah, I'm going to tell a story, a fun story, and I'm not going to be boring. If I'm talking, I don't want to stop talking because if I stop talking, chances are things will start getting boring. And that could happen anyways if I talk too much. But yeah, this is a story. This is about a little over 12 hours since I was baptized. Technically, it's the next day. Well, I don't know technically if it's the next day or not, but it's about 12 hours. So I'm still in the first 24 hours and I'm celebrating. I'm not drinking, that's for sure. That would be a terrible thing to do to celebrate something so wonderful, but because drinking is bad for me. It's really bad for me. So I'm celebrating though. I'm celebrating, and I'm going to tell the story. I think this would be considered a testimonial by a lot of church people. Would call it a giving testimony, but I don't really think of it that way because I know what people talk about. Well, he gave testimony or whatever. It's a story of something that happened to me. It's a testimony of something that happened to me. And it is church related. So you can call it testimony, I guess. But yeah, because I'm celebrating this. I'm telling the story in celebration of my baptism. And this is a story that I've only told about 5 times since it happened to me in early 2017. And the reason I don't tell the story is it's kind of personal. It's about when I was homeless. I do refer into one of my videos about how I became homeless in late 2016 into 2017 in Tacoma. And this is something that happened to me in 2017 while I was sleeping at Tacoma Rescue Mission. Thank goodness, thank God. I started to think that was a mixture of thank God and thank goodness. I think thank God. Yeah. Okay, so I'm afraid to slow down because then I won't be talking as much and you might not watch. Okay, I'm going to tell the story. And the reason I don't tell it is a whole lot is because it is personal. And the only time I ever really had opportunities to just tell stories like this about myself were in 12-step meetings. And it's really not an appropriate story for a 12-step meeting because it involves me gambling and winning money gambling. It involves me praying to win money gambling. Yeah. And see, it doesn't work for church either, does it? But yeah, that's the story. I told it to my mom a couple times, or she was in a couple of AA meetings. Uh, she didn't go to AA meetings very often, but she went to a few in the last few years of her life. And so she heard the story before. And I did tell it on her deathbed. The last time I saw my mom where she could see me and talk to me and knew it was me and all that. I started the story because of there was family around there, and so I started to tell the story. But she was into it. She wanted to hear me tell the story, even though she knew it. And I told the story to my mom, the people around my mom, and she got to listen to it, and she liked it. And what happened is, I don't want to make this because I'm a really good storyteller. I could make this a story. I've already said enough. Now I could just go into the story and tell it very good and get to the point where something's amazing. Something, I'm leading up to something good that happened to me or something, and then reveal it. And then, wow, that's really amazing, almost unbelievable. And then go through all the talking about, well, I swear this is true. This really happened to me. But that's really making a performance out of it. And yeah, I'm in front of camera right now. I'm performing right now. When I got the camera on me, I'm performing. Whether I'm being sincere or cynical, I'm all about trying to build an audience. I'm all about being successful on YouTube. It's all about the bottom line, money. All right? I live on a stipend of money, and I do well. I live in a garage, yeah. Mustang Sally only charges me to live in her garage 30% of my income. That's what you would get from any social welfare agency in the state that's helping you have a nice home and you're poor. You can end up getting a home, a nice apartment or something for 30% of whatever you earn. That's what I'm paying right here. But I don't live in an apartment with people above me, people below me, and on each side. I live on a beautiful piece of property in a garage. Technically, I'm homeless. Yeah, I'm homeless on paper. Maybe if I decide to go for some benefits, I just ruined that for myself. But I don't. The rules are the rules. This is an unfinished building. That's what my that's what somebody else called it in a legal document recently. He lives in an unfinished garage, and that's true. There's no plumbing. There's no heat. There's electricity. I live in a nice spot. Yeah, I'm a pig. This is the garage that I live in. And I've done videos where I show the outside, the beautiful piece of property that I live on. I was going to time this so it didn't drag on forever. And I don't know what time I started it. I'm just going to tell the story. Now you know. It involves me winning money, gambling, that I prayed to win. Okay? That's the synopsis of the story. So if I've already bored you, go ahead and turn me off. I don't blame you. I was living in the Tacoma Rescue Mission. I was flat broke. Flat broke. No money. That's another story, but that's where I was in life. I had no money. I had nothing. I lived in the rescue mission. At that time, I had a storage locker. I had managed to get a storage locker, and I got a lot of my belongings into the storage locker. So I had that, thanks to Mom. Yeah. She got me a storage locker. And so I had that. Anyways, I was wearing dirty clothes, you know? And you don't really want to use the community, the only washing machine at a rescue mission that houses, I don't know, more than 100 men. And there's one washing machine, you know, it's disgusting. So, you know, I'm sorry, it was disgusting. I was better off with the dirty clothes on me. And all my clothes were dirty. All of them. I lost some weight during that period of time. So that's you know, look for the positive, right? There was a guy that, you know, walks, or still, I say walks because I still think he does. His neighborhood is Tacoma, downtown Tacoma. And he walks the streets, strolls the streets. He's not homeless. But, yeah, this guy named David. And when I was homeless and hanging out at the same places that I hung out when I wasn't homeless, and people that used to be my patrons wouldn't look me in the eye, even if they liked me, they wouldn't even look me in the eye because then I'd probably start talking at them, talking at them. So it was just easier for them to not even make eye contact with me. And of course, I perceived that as, you know, nobody loves you when you're down and out. You know, and there's a lot of truth to that. John Lennon wasn't completely wrong. But anyways, so I was living in the rescue mission. This guy, he was a Catholic minister, or, you know, a Catholic minister at that time. That's what he was, I think, a Catholic minister. I think he might be a bishop now. I don't know. But anyways, you know, he treated me like, he's somebody that had been around me for years because I worked in downtown Tacoma. I knew him. I was on a first name basis with him. But when everybody else wouldn't make eye contact with me, he started spending some time with me and talking with me and encouraging me. And I'd start going on and on and on about how I was this and I could do that. And he would just smile and say, oh, that would be, yeah. I said, well, I could do all these things for your church. I could videotape this, I could do that. And he says, oh, that would be great. And he made me feel like a person, a little bit like a person. And he had this thing that was like a Bible study thing. Just a few people, adults, not people that were as messed up as I was, but people that lived in downtown Tacoma, a few people that lived in the neighborhood, and they had a Bible study thing going, and he'd sit and we'd read out of the Bible and we'd discuss what it means and this and that, and we'd done that. That's the first time I ever went to a Bible study of any kind. Of any kind. I spent most of my adult life being angry with religion, not going to Bible study. Not being really angry, but not being interested, that's for sure. Who wants to be judged? Even if you're clearly a sinner, who wants to be judged? And nobody does. And, if you're a sinner and somebody's following the scripture, there's a lot of judgment in the scripture, and that's in there to guide people, Anyways, so we did our Bible study thing, and one of the other ladies, I call her a lady because she was half my age, so I guess I can just say a girl. She started talking to David about the fact that she was playing the slot machines or something. The Emerald Queen Casino is a big deal in Tacoma, and she said that she was playing, and I don't remember the exact wording, but what it came down to is she was on a roll or something, and she prayed to win, and she won $600. And then she was actually feeling, a little bit bad about it because, one of the things that I learned in the little bit of Bible study that I went to, or a little bit of church I had gone to at that time, was there's a kind of a better way to pray, and religious people know that, you don't pray to win at gambling. If you do, it's not a terrible sin, I don't think, but it's just not the way that Jesus taught to pray, at least from what I've learned. And he told her that, well, yeah, he basically what I just told you, I learned from listening to him. Okay, that's basically what he said. Was, it probably isn't the right way to pray, and you know that, but I wouldn't call it a mortal sin. That's not his words, I'm paraphrasing, but that was the gist of it. So she felt better, and really, she was having fun gambling. Oh, come on, God. Whatever. I think he reacted properly to it. I don't know, maybe somebody else would have reacted stronger. And, oh, you shouldn't have done that, whatever. But, so that was in my mind. You see where this story's leading maybe already. Because I was flat broke. But I made a kind of an impression on me. Not, whatever. And so I went back to church. I went back to the rescue mission. I actually had to get permission to go to the prayer meeting. Because if you're not there by a certain time, you don't get to sleep there that night. It was cold. But you know what? As far as the rescue mission was concerned, that's one of the best reasons for you to be late, is if you were going to a prayer meeting, so it wasn't hard to get permission to do that. But they were a very religious organization. I mean, and old school. Can I hear an amen? Yeah, old school. But anyways, okay, so the next morning, I'm following the path, from the rescue mission to the University of Washington satellite, where they have clean and decent bathrooms. I learned the tricks, and I could easily pass as at least not as a homeless person, as long as I didn't have my backpack. I could easily pass for a normie, I don't know, and go in and use their facilities. That was no problem for me. So I'm walking the path. And a lot of people couldn't, a lot of people, they can't not have their backpack, because if they don't have their backpack, then it's not safe, because it's not with them. If it's not with them, it's going to get stolen. So I was walking the path, and I looked down, and there's like $40 sitting there. It was probably dropped by another person living in the rescue mission, because it was kind of the path from there to there, that you got to get out of there at a certain time. You're required to get out on the streets after breakfast, a certain time after breakfast, you know. But, you know, there was nobody around. I'd leave it there, right? I mean, whoever found it next probably wouldn't be the owner. So I picked it up, you know, of course I picked it up. In a heartbeat. I didn't put my foot over it and look around, but I picked it up. And it was mine then. And, you know, I don't remember what I did with 20 bucks of it. I really don't remember what I did with it, but I still had $20 left. And I started thinking about that prayer, you know. And I've been taught that there's a proper way, in 12-step meetings mostly, you know. They teach you how to pray in 12-step meetings. You can bet they do. You know, they pretend they're not that religious to get people in that are mad at God. But once they get you in there, you get a good dose of religion. And that's probably one of the best aspects of 12-step meetings. That's my opinion now. But anyways, so I forgot what. So I knew how to pray. I knew that, you know, that's really not. So I started praying to Jesus, God, Jesus. It's all the same. I've only known Christianity in my life. I was born and raised in a Christian country, and it's more diverse now than it was when I was a kid. But this is a Christian country, and I just thought being Christian was just part of being American. But I obviously I understand. You know, there's three major religions, and they all have their place, and they're even related in some ways, and even interconnected in some ways. So I don't know. I believe in Jesus Christ as my Savior, and He proved it to me the day I'm trying to tell you. He proved it. He proved it to me. He proved me that God is real. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to tell the story. I'm going to just tell the story. I was going to sing a song. I've been practicing a song for the last 4 hours. I was going to sing, but I think this has gone on way too long. So, but I'm going to finish the story. All right? So I started praying. I started saying stuff in my head to God, like, I know this isn't the right way to pray, and I promise not to be resentful. I'm not saying I expect this. But I wasn't praying for somebody to get better, or I wasn't praying for the pain to go away, or their suffering to go away, or I wasn't even praying for the courage to face the ordeal that I was currently with my life circumstance. I was praying for money. I wanted some of this, and of course in my prayer, I'm explaining to God that I understand that this is not going to happen, but I'm going to give it a chance. You can't catch a fish if you don't put your line in the water, right? I'd never even played a slot machine before. I've gambled, you know, I played cards, poker, you know, but I've never done enough gambling for it to be a problem for me. Because if I did do enough gambling, it would be a problem for me, like everything else. Any habit out there, if I engage in it, if I dabble with it too much, then it becomes my habit. So I never spent that much time around gambling. Slot machines to me seemed like a big ripoff. Video slots, entertain you for a little bit, and then give you some of your money back. Throw a buzzer up telling you won because they gave you 50 cents out of $1 back. You know. So I did all this praying and had it all laid out. I'm going to go down there to Fife, and I'm going to spend this 20 bucks, and I know that it's going to be gone, and that's okay, but I'm going to do it anyways. That's what I kept saying, you know. I was really in a low point in my life. Possibly, other than losing my parents and a couple of other people, this was, other than that, this was the lowest point in my entire life. Living at the Tacoma Rescue Mission and praying for God to get me $600 out of that slot machine in Fife. Yeah, I got on the bus, I went to Fife. I couldn't get in the door because I had my backpack. Guy was nice about it, you know, but he couldn't let me in the door with a backpack, you know, backpacks. And I'm sure I wasn't the first homeless person he had to explain that to. So I went across Highway 99 over to one of the motels, and I looked at a line of shrubbery, and I counted five, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I went and I just stashed my backpack under the fifth one, fifth shrub, came on back over. And I knew that it was number 5, so I could easily find it again. Got rid of my backpack, went into the casino, sat down, walked around, looked at slot machines. Never played a slot machine before, but I figured, well, it's like pull tabs. You usually don't win, and if you do win, they make it pretty clear that you won. So I figured I'll be, And so I sat down at one because it was cats. It was, jaguars and lions and cougars, and, it was cats, and I love cats. So I sat down, 50-cent bets, Well, anybody that's played slot machines knows that you walk into and you give yourself a $20 limit, because I've done it a number of times since then. Always that $20 limit, and always walking out most of the time when I hit that limit. And yeah, a $20 at 50-cent bets, you're looking at a couple of minutes, and it's gone. I used to go with a friend of mine, and I actually accompanied him because he had poor eyesight and all this shit, all this stuff. And so I would actually accompany him to the casino and watch him gamble for 4 or 5 hours. It was a grueling task. It doesn't sound that bad, but I wouldn't gamble past the $20. I wouldn't let him pay for me to gamble. I was there to help him. So I watched him. He was like a dang stereotype, and $20 is nothing in a slot machine deal. It's nothing. I watched him. I never watched him lose more than $800 or $900 in one session. So in the big picture, that's only a moderate gambling addict. And he only did that once a week after church. Okay, see, this is why this is so long, because I keep on getting sidetracked. Yeah, so I go in there, I'm sitting there with the cats, and, bam, 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 it's going fast. And then all of a sudden, it goes to bonus round, and I'm like, okay. Now I know exactly what bonus round is. Then I didn't know. And it's giving me the choices, all the different choices, and you got your bubbles or your cats or whatever. I picked one, I don't remember. The more difficult odds choice you make at this point, the more money you get, that kind of thing. Because this was a 50-cent bet. So I probably pushed the highest payoff, because I won $600. I swear to God, on the day that I've been baptized, that this is true. Only a real moron would say something like that if he was lying. Even somebody that was a little bit superstitious and not religious at all would not say that. If they were just a little bit superstitious, they wouldn't say that. Or a little bit religious. I'm telling you, it happened. It happened. First it came out, I don't remember it at all, but then it was 9 squares, and it was, I don't remember what it was. It was wham, bam, 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 bam. And then the buzzer started up, and I'm freaking out. And plus it was one of those ones that tells you points. So I didn't know how much money it was. And I didn't win exactly $600. I had like 60,000 points more. 60,000 points was 600. I'm going to say 600. 60,000 points is $600. And I had like 70,000 points. No. Yeah, 70,000 points would be $700. So I had something like 70,000 points. And you can't not pull it a couple more times after winning something like that. I don't care who you are. I mean, I knew I won. I didn't know it was $600, but I knew I won. So I pulled it a couple more times, and it landed. I stopped at $600. See, now I got to be sure that I'm accurate. I'm just saying that business about I swear to God. I got to be darn sure that I'm being accurate to the best of my recollection. I walked out of there with 6 $100 bills. I can't say that it stopped on 600, but I stopped on 600. And I walked out of there with 6 $100 bills. I could not believe it. Imagine that. Imagine that. Homeless, down and out, as low as you can ever remember being, and you're in your 50s. You never thought you would be homeless. I'm talking about me. I never thought I would be homeless in my life. I've been talking about it a lot lately because of the YouTube thing and because it was a big part of my life. So I'm getting all that out, kind of. And at the same time, trying to get those viewers, get those views, someday get monetized. For me, it's all about view hours now. That's the milestone, and it's a huge milestone. Now I've gone off track. I won $600. And I kept saying, I can't believe it, God. I can't believe it, you know? I couldn't believe it. It was a miracle. And it wasn't the kind of miracle that you usually hear about. It was me, an unrepentant sinner. I'm still unrepentant. But I accept that I'm a sinner. That's a start. But an unrepentant sinner, I mean a fundamental sinner, not a killer, not a cruel person, but if you read certain passages in the Bible, you know, I guess I'm a sinner, and that's going to get dealt with one way or the other, at one time or the other. I'm working on it, but the point is, I won $600 in the story that I just told you. First thing I did was go on Amazon and order an Amazon Fire tablet for $60. Bam! I went from having no contact online, nothing, because it had either been stolen from me, taken away from me, or just I stopped paying for it, whatever. I didn't have a phone. I didn't have nothing. All of a sudden I had a tablet, and I know how to use one. You know, and so I got Wi-Fi. You know, I watched Boardwalk Empire all the seasons after I got that tablet, instead of sitting in that homeless shelter for the 3 or 4 hours between the time you have to be there by, and before I could fall asleep. I was able now to sit and stare at my tablet and watch Boardwalk Empire. Actually, it can be quite enjoyable to watch something like that on a small screen as soon as you get used to it. You know, I'm sitting in front of a 75-inch screen right now, and I'm poor. You know, but that's what happened. There's not time for me to sing a song, and I would, if I have any viewers at this point, I would lose them all. I'm gonna sing the song later, and I'm gonna post them as YouTube shorts, because I'm gonna give you a little tip. Anybody that stuck along this long with me, and I wasn't gonna do this, I'm gonna give you the tip. All right? You watch all these videos, people give you tips. And yeah, some of them are really smart. And then they got a course that'll help you be successful on YouTube. And yeah, actually they're valuable. They're valuable. They're worth watching. But none of them will tell you this, or I haven't heard anybody say it. And it's very important. If you're a YouTube creator, you need to pay attention to YouTube shorts. I've only been doing this for 6 months, so it didn't matter to me when everything changed at the end of 2025. That's when I was just trying to figure everything out. And if it changed while I was trying to figure it out, I didn't know the difference. You know, and I feel like I've been pretty successful. I'm not monetized. I can't even imagine how I can get monetized. The only way I can imagine get monetized is if this video goes viral. As long as it is, if this video went viral, I would be monetized. Short of something like that happening, I don't know how to get monetized for sure. But I'm going to stick with it. It's good for me. It's been very good for me. I've reconnected with so many people since I started doing this. people that wasn't even friends with, just people I knew. That actually I feel like I'm friends with them, even though I don't want to go meet them face to face. One step at a time, right? One step at a time. But I'm about talked out. So, I don't think this one's going to go viral. But if it does, oh, I was going to tell you. You thought I was going to leave without telling you what I was. Oh. You can post a video if it's under 60 seconds long as a YouTube short. God, I can't believe I'm saying this. If you're a tribute band, you can earn money on YouTube as a tribute band doing your tribute music on YouTube Shorts. Yeah, it's copyrighted music. And YouTube made a deal with whoever they make deals with. And most copyrighted artists are allowing people to post YouTube Shorts using their copyrighted material. And they've even made a deal where the copyright owners are allowing the creators to get a piece of the pie. In other words, if you post a video as, say, I don't know, I want to say Eagles, but Eagles are pretty strict. I don't know if Eagles have that deal. But say you were an AC/DC tribute band. Yeah, guys, I'm spilling the beans here. If you were a tribute band like AC/DC, for example, and you posted on YouTube 60-second videos of yourself, and then you managed somehow to become monetized, because I haven't figured it out. I haven't figured that part out yet. But if you become monetized, you can earn money from those 60-second clips, 59-second clips. You can earn revenue. You'll get a tiny sliver of revenue. But that sliver might turn into a lot of money for some people. That's what I've not heard anybody talk about. And I hope Jerry's not mad at me. I know he's not mad at me. He didn't even care when I told him that. He didn't even care. He said, well, I hope you make some money at it, Mike. But I don't need your money. I'll make my own. Well, that's what he told me. So yeah, I post a lot of AC/DC clips. Notice that most of them are under 60 seconds long. And if I get monetized, Ryan, Scott, Gerald, Snake, if I actually make money from any of those clips, I'll share it with you. I'll share it with you. But I got to figure out how to get monetized first. And you guys got to keep on rocking. This is it. Okay, I can end this. Oh, I hope somebody watched it.